That's the way
I think he should just start and not even tell us when it's starting.
Have you been recording?
Great. That's the way we roll.
We just jump in.
We're spontaneous fellas. I think you have that in your jeans. You also have it in your shorts and your deck pants. Probably in your socks somewhat.
Probably in my socks.
You're
my baseball
spontaneous.
caps.
Okay, let's get into this. I guess we initially talked about
We need introduction.
what?
Who's who?
Who's who?
You gotta tell the people who you are.
Well,
Your many names.
it's your project. I am just a participant. So I think you should really introduce.
Well, they know who I am. I'm Luke. Luke Hopp.
And I'm your esteemed
Grandpapa.
grandpapa.
Grandfather. You go by many names.
Many names.
Many names.
And if you didn't say I was your grandpapa, they would obviously think I was an older brother.
An older brother. Or my dad.
All right. I mean, that pickleball game, I was very close to beating you.
You're
Very close.
a menace on the pickleball court.
Pickleball.
Very violent.
You know, I want to also add, as this whatever it is nowadays gets rolling,
Yeah.
that my episode, my event with you on the hardwood floor really struck home the reality of how old I am.
With basketball or with pickleball?
Basketball.
Oh, man.
I fully expected that I would go out there on that court, and after a little warm-up, I would be popping threes.
And knocking them down?
That's what I thought.
And what happened?
I couldn't even hit the rim.
You were out of practice, though.
No, out of strength.
Out of strength.
No strength left.
But you've been in the gym since. You've been lifting, right?
I've been what?
You've been in the gym. You've been lifting. You've gotten it back.
No, I've been lifted out of the gym. They had to lift me out of the gym.
They said, get him out. Get him out.
Yeah, but that was a real eye-opener, Luke. But it was good. It was a reality check.
Yeah.
Because I was under a false impression that I was still young.
How old do you feel?
Oh, man. Physically, I feel old. Really old.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you said noon, that you guys would be here at noon, even though you were an hour late.
We were late.
But that's not it. That's not important. Yeah. And I don't even bring it up. I don't even
You didn't even mention it. No.
I'm not even going to mention you were an hour late. But I was glad you said noon, because it's hard for me to get percolating.
Hard to get moving in the morning?
Yeah, really hard. And that's the exception when I'm at that home in, where is it again? Germantown?
Germantown.
But it's in the United States, right?
Yeah, the hills.
The
Germantown
hills,
Hills,
okay.
yeah.
When I'm there, I don't have as much trouble bouncing out of that room.
You said you feel like you have different energy levels there, right?
Yeah, I have a different energy level. And I think it might be the multiple machines that your dad sits on and rotates, different things he puts on his body to stimulate himself.
And that stimulates you somehow at the same point? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does. Just the energy vibrates in there. But
And you always sleep great,
I sleep, it takes me one night. I have one bad night.
and then you get into a groove.
Then I get used to it. And when I come in your room, you don't even wake up.
No, because you play records while I'm sleeping.
I play records.
He
I
does.
like to cuddle on the bed. I'll admit it.
He's big spoon.
I'm totally heterosexual, but I still like that cuddle. And I'm probably getting here inappropriate. So
No,
Let me
there's-
wrap it back up
No.
here. This happens when you get older. You don't care what you say.
No filter?
No filter.
See, people say that, and that's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And many times I wonder, what in the God's name did I say?
But you don't care.
I care somewhat. Like I visited a old friend from East High a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoy her company. And her room was always across the hall from mine. She's a Spanish teacher, though she's Polish. She's a Polish woman.
Yeah.
But she majored in Spanish. But anyway, I hadn't seen her in 2.5 years, and I went over one afternoon, and we visited. And I was talking, and at a certain point I said, Christy, tell me, have I said anything inappropriate?
You had to check in.
I had to check, because
Yeah.
there is no filter.
And had you? Said anything inappropriate?
I hadn't. No, she said, no, nothing.
Or she was lying to you.
Probably, because she's getting up there in the years. I mean, she's no spring chicken. She's 2 years from retirement, so
Wow.
go figure.
Wow.
But anyway, way off topic here. I don't even know
There
where
is
I
no
am
topic.
Huh?
There's no topic.
now. No topic.
The point is it's just us talking.
Okay. Now, when I tried to explain this to anybody, I tried to explain it to...
It was private. You weren't allowed to talk. This wasn't a public thing.
Oh, you don't want this known?
No. They're not supposed to know it's coming.
Well, I have the...
Who'd you tell?
I have the NDAs.
You guys?
I've got them all, so I don't think you have to worry about it. No, these are my coffee buddies.
Oh, you told them about it.
Yeah, they're as old as I am.
Yeah. And that's coffee, just for the audience, that's coffee every Friday, right?
Every Friday.
You're a former teacher.
Former teacher. We call it the Tomcat Old Farts Club.
Tomcat Old Farts Club. Okay.
And our group initially was 6, and now it's down to 3. And it's kind of sad.
It's dwindled down, yeah.
It's dwindled down. Death gets in the way, and Alzheimer's got in the way. And anyway, but I shared it with 2 of the guys, and I was trying to say, they were trying to say, well, what's the point of it? And I said, well, I think my grandson, Luke, Ike, I like Ike. I've always liked Ike.
Real name is Isaac, for those who didn't know. So
Ike.
always call me Ike, yep.
Is not Ike Hop a better name if you're on the hardwood?
1950s basketball name.
Yeah, Ike
I
Hop.
got Ike Hop, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Downtown Ike Hop.
There's no three-point line yet when Ike Hop played.
That's true.
It's true.
That's true. You know, if Letterman has his way, David,
Yeah.
there's going to be a 4-point and a 5-point line.
Well, I've heard about 4-point, but a 5-point?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think a 4-point will happen. I don't think 5-point. That's pushing it.
They have to do something, I think.
To make the game interesting?
Yeah, because it's becoming, the 3-point shot is taken for granted now.
Right.
There's so many guys that hit it.
Everybody can shoot.
Yeah.
Everybody can.
So they got to do something.
They have to.
How about raising the rim?
To what?
11.
What about lowering the rim?
Lowering? What would be the point of that?
Then the really small guys, they can dunk too.
Yeah, but Dunkin' is...
That's overrated too.
It's a donut. Do you know at Dunkin' Donuts, they don't make the donuts anymore at all?
They just buy them?
They buy them. They're all shipped in. Every Dunkin' Donut shop, or not a bakery,
Yeah.
they're brought in like at 3, 4 in the morning by truck.
How does that make you feel?
All of them. I hated Dunkin' Donuts from the get-go. Now I hate it even more.
So they're not going to sponsor this.
They're not going to sponsor. They're not going to give you a dime.
And if
for
they
this.
even asked us to, you would say,
In fact, I'd ask you right now, and you, Gabe, not to drink their coffee.
don't support them.
Don't support them. Because, you know, their commercials used to be somewhat clever. You know, we have to make the donuts. The alarm goes off.
Oh, right.
The little guy
right.
gets up. I got to make the donuts. That's not true. Nobody makes the donuts. They're made probably in New Jersey somewhere.
They get them off a truck. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got that from a guy who was a manager of Dunkin' Donuts for 8 years. And now he's a ER emergency room nurse.
He was fed up with Dunkin' Donuts too? Is that why he left?
He didn't have a good thing to say about him.
Wow.
And he shut his mouth because he said, I don't want to say anything more negative. I'm not a negative person, but I wouldn't. He said, the only thing I would ever consume out of Dunkin' Donuts is coffee. He said, I would never touch any of their so-called bakery goods. That just supported my belief.
Yeah.
You know, to this day, I drive by a Dunkin' Donuts and I get indigestion
Just from driving by?
just by driving by, thinking about those things.
They're going to come after you if they see this.
Probably. How do you feel about it? You know, I'm doing all the talking here.
I think sometimes they give me the runs, you know, but
You eat them?
not the donuts.
Oh, the
Not
coffee.
with the gluten allergy. Yeah, the coffee. I think that's kind of the running known fact. I think everybody kind of knows that. Like, oh, I think Dunkin' Donuts messes with people's stomach. I've always been a Starbucks guy.
Okay, but you have consumed their coffee.
Very, very early on, like many years ago.
Something bothers me here. Something's troubling me right here. I mean, we've barely gotten into the interview. We've barely gotten into this very important conversation we're having.
And you're allergic to something.
I'm not allergic to anything, but I'm worried about something. I'm worried about the Fair Morgan.
The Fair Morgan.
Morgan,
My girlfriend.
your lovely girlfriend.
Okay.
Who I believe is a manager of a coffee shop.
She works at Fair Coffee.
Yeah, and you're talking about Starbucks?
She loves Starbucks too. But you're right, I should give her some promotion. Fair Coffee, that is my favorite spot.
Okay, now
Fair-
we're getting somewhere.
Fair Coffee in Washington, Illinois. Best coffee, exactly.
I like that coffee very much.
You've been there. You brought in
been
your
there.
basketball.
I brought in the basketball. People crowded around me, wanted me to dribble and that, and Morgan said, no dribbling in the coffee shop.
They almost kicked you out.
Oh, the carafes.
And you signed the guest book.
I signed the guest book. Yeah, I did. I put a very nice comment there about Morgan, that I have never been in a fair coffee shop with a better manager.
Well, you've never been in a fair
I've never
coffee
been
shop,
in a
right?
fair coffee
But they don't need
shop.
to know that.
They don't know it.
But go back to your friends you talked to about this interview.
I'm totally off the topic. See, that's the negative part of No Filter. You don't know where you're at.
But it makes
where
it more
you're at.
entertaining.
Yeah. Okay.
So you told your friends, like, what's the point? And then you
Yeah.
started talking about Duncan.
Yeah, and I got sidetracked. Okay, so they said, yeah, so okay, you're going to do this with your grandson. You're going to have a good time. He'll probably be bored out of his mind. And he drags along his good friend to do this.
They said this to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't care how I feel. They drink coffee with me, but they don't care. That's what friendship truly is.
Drinking coffee and not caring.
Yeah, as you get older.
That's the quote of the interview.
And I said, well, I think my grandson wants to be a mogul.
A mogul.
Yeah,
You
and
know
they-
me well.
Yeah, and they said, what? And I said, like Quincy Jones. He wants to be a mogul.
Right.
He wants to develop musical talent besides his own.
Yeah.
They didn't understand the concept at all. And they said, but why the interview? And I said, well, it's kind of like, this is partly answers where he came from, the nonsense I spew out during this. Mm-hmm. And then where you are will be what you say.
Yeah.
And then we'll both comment on where you hope to be.
Where we're from, where we are, and where we're going.
Right?
There's a title.
Here, there, and
Here, there, and everywhere.
yeah.
Track 5, Revolver.
Yeah, that still amazes me that, to go to sleep at night, I've been listening to the Beatles, I think they called it Beatles 1,
Yeah, that's their greatest hits.
and they have like 27
yeah.
songs on there.
I need to clarify for the audience that
Please.
I am for those of them who don't know, massive Beatles fan, and my party trick, as you know, is I can name any Beatles song in just a second. You play a second, and I can tell you the song name, what year it was released, the track. Obsessed.
Does this include the solo stuff by John and Paul?
I'm still pretty good at that, but not as familiar. But as you know, you probably have all the stories when I'd come over when I was little,
Oh,
sing all the Beatles songs,
I wish
Word for
we
word.
had smartphones back then.
so you can record it.
I
Yeah,
could have recorded it because it was truly impressive.
yeah.
I really thought that my son had helped generate an oddity,
And you
maybe an alien.
You don't think that anymore?
Well, let's get back to the question. here.
You were listening to the Beatles 1, their greatest hits compilation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's no greater Beatles song, as far as lyrics,
Uh-oh.
meaning,
Watch yourself.
everything. I don't think you'll disagree with me, but the lyrics here and the rhyming, it's just so deep
Okay.
and says so much. It's the first song on that album.
That's like chronological, isn't it? So it's early.
I think it is. So the first
Is it-
song is "Love Me Do."
Are you kidding?
I'm not. That's the first song. And listen to these lyrics: "Love, love me do.
You know, I want you.
I want you.
I'll
always
always
be
be
true.
true. So
Please, please, love me
me
do.
do. That's deep.
Love me do. Something I want something new."
Yeah.
Which I think is misogynistic.
What do you mean?
I want something new. It's not a thing. It's yet another human being.
Oh, the woman he's talking about.
yeah. Not a. I want something new.
And the first verse is I'll always be true.
Yeah.
So
but
no, you
then it's-
won't.
He says new. I want something new.
Right, but he says I'll always be true, and then the second verse is I want something new. So
Oh.
he's not being true, right?
Oh, I'm confused.
The
But-
first verse, right? He says I'll always be true.
Okay.
And the second verse says I want something new. So he's not being true to her. If he wants somebody new, right?
Oh, see, I didn't take it as somebody new.
Oh, okay.
I took it as something new. He wanted a new diversion.
I thought that was the misogyny. He was calling her a thing.
That's right. That's
Right.
that's what I was hit with. But
Right.
Maybe it's not true. But what a great song, huh? And difficult.
That was the first one of the first songs I can remember hearing. Believe it or
Yeah.
not, that is one of the first. That's the first Beatles song I heard too.
There's many Dr. Seuss songs better than that.
Dr. Seuss songs. It is. I think it shows though.
Growth.
It shows how good they got, because if that was that was a number one.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
America
isn't it?
loved that one, yeah, and that's just.
That's nothing.
They have to be a little embarrassed. You
They
know?
have to be.
A little like
Yeah. I would think one of them would have said, no, let's not put that on there.
right.
Anyway, what are we talking about now?
It's whatever you've been
Okay.
hitting a lot of topics.
Well, why don't you steer it a little bit? I'm dominating this, and that's getting.
No, you're not dominating. This is.
No?
It's not even an interview. It's a conversation.
It's a conversation.
The point is we have. You had some prepared questions, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll answer some
get
some
to
of
'em.
them. But
We'll get to them.
we're just going to kind of go in the direction we
Okay,
want.
so let me ask you this to try to get what I feel like back to our purpose. Mm-hmm. How did you feel once was it August 1st that the album came out? I don't know what you say. Does it came out?
The album, I've been throughout the course of the summer on streaming services releasing each one as a single.
Yeah.
The whole body of work is supposed to be. We're filming this on a Sunday. I don't know when this will be out on the YouTube.
So it's not out yet?
The album's not out yet.
I thought
It comes
was.
out, the 16th of August, so this coming Saturday.
Okay, when it comes out, will it be any different than what I've been listening to?
No, I sent you just what it's going to look like when it
Okay.
comes out. Yeah,
So that's it.
that's it.
Would it be possible for you to send me the lyrics?
Yeah,
That would help me.
I have all the lyrics.
Okay.
I thought about, because I packaged all the vinyl and CDs, which that's a whole other thing we can talk about. I did all the design where I wanted the things. I thought about including on like the record sleeve the lyrics, but it would have looked. It's hard to get all the words on just a little sleeve, you know.
Yeah.
So
What about when it's on YouTube? Will the lyrics be there?
I don't think they're on YouTube. On Spotify, which do you have Spotify?
No.
I put all the lyrics on Spotify, but I can text them to you.
Okay, why don't you?
Speaking of lyrics, I kind of had a cool. I don't know if I told you this. A cool thing. I got a DM from somebody on Instagram, a direct message, and they told me that they were a big fan and that they started a lyrics page for me on
What's
TikTok.
that mean?
Like we're taking my songs and making lyric videos for it, and so like the account name is lyrics, like Luke Hop lyrics. So they did a couple songs and like did a little graphic design thing and put my lyrics on the screen.
Don't I have to get your permission to do that?
Yeah, they said I can take it down if you want. You know, me being the massive artist I was like, take it down. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, let them have it. It's free promotion, and that was super cool to have. So
Now that's all that it amounts to nowadays, right? It's free promotion.
right,
There's no financial
right,
element to it.
right, and that's kind of been my mindset too. Is there such thing as bad promotion?
No,
There's no negative.
I don't think there is.
Right.
Not in the culture we're in today.
Right. And as you know, I've kind of, especially with posting myself on social media, gone through the ringer here and there with the hate comments or the making fun. And as we've talked about before, I don't think there's such thing as negative promotion. You know, they're still talking about the music. Of course, I'd want people to be saying positive things, but
How much does that influence you when you're creating something? The thought that I want people to like this. How important is that when you're creating it?
That's a good question. I think I thought about it a lot recently. When we were together last, I don't know if you remember, I played you a summary song, Sun's Out. I played you that one. And that one's not on the album, but I knew writing that, as I was working on that, I was like, this is going to be like cliche and summary, and some people are going to love it. And this one I can also see is really going to get made fun of because it's very expected. And it did in a lot of ways. There was the hate comments, whatever, but it also is one of my best performing songs. So I had someone tell me once too that, like, you know, you have to be polarizing means you're on the right track. When you have such people who are so, I hate this, but then I get lots of comments too. People are saying like, this is beautiful. How does this not have more? This should have 20 million plays and all this. So it's just interesting.
So, did I hear you right? Polarizing is good?
This is what this person told me. Yeah, they were like, to be polarizing is to. It was your son, my father.
My son.
Your son said. You gotta-
Anthony?
Anthony.
Wow.
Tony.
To be polarizing.
He was talking about, because I was feeling discouraged. I was talking to him. I think the context was I was feeling discouraged about I think I would get such negative things of people acting like it was the worst thing ever created, which I think I have a pretty sober view of myself. Like, that's not that bad, right? And then I'd have some people just like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with it. And so he was pointing out that the people who end up rising to the top are very polarizing, whether it's in how they carry themselves or the music itself. And I think I'll say this, maybe this is a better rephrase, to make music that's going to stand the test of time, it needs to be polarizing. Go back to the Beatles. That was polarizing.
Sure was.
Think about because you grew up during that. Your parents' generation was like, "What is this? That's too loud. That's too loud, and it's too different."
I remember my father's comment when we were watching them on the Ed Sullivan Show in '64. I think.
Yeah.
My dad's comment was something like, "We had to bring those 4 jokers over from England to make that noise."
That aged well. Yeah.
That was his comment.
And even when the Beatles were coming up, before they were even famous, all the people they tried to work with, the managers, record labels told them rock and roll bands were on the way out. That you guys don't have a lead singer, because they had 3 guys who could sing.
You think that was all based on Elvis?
Yeah, I think they thought it was a fad, that it was going to be gone. And then the Beatles obviously just went in a whole different direction and were.
Do you think your idolization of the Beatles is odd for somebody your age?
Obsession.
Is
it odd?
Is it odd for somebody your age?
I think there are a lot of things odd about me for somebody my. I mean, who has the record player set up?
Have you met anybody else who appreciates the Beatles as much as you, your age, and your age group?
I've had a couple friends that appreciate it, but I think I have to not scare them away once I can get into the factoids of, did you know? And then it's just like, there's something wrong with him. But yeah, I think, I've definitely met people along the way who like them as much. To be honest, I was just talking with an older person who was obsessed with records and the Beatles too, but again, that's not someone my age. So when I go into record shops and stuff, I'll talk the owner's ear off. I'm like, well, they're triple my age, so that doesn't really count as being my age. But
how do you react to musicians who have taken the Beatles as a starting point and developed or given a different interpretation of a Beatle melody?
Like covered their songs,
but in a very creative new way.
Yeah,
hadn't been done before.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think obviously people hear music differently. So I mean, I've heard.
Do you like that?
Specific with the Beatles, I think it's a cool reimagining. I don't think I've ever heard a Beatles cover that I'm like, oh, this is better than the original. And that's
really.
Obviously, I'm biased in that way, but I think it's cool to kind of see like Frank Sinatra would cover something, and.
Really, he did?
Yeah, that was one of his best performing songs.
What did he sing? Yesterday?
Something. He covered the song Something.
Oh, Something.
Yes, he covered Something.
Yeah, I could see him doing that.
I always thought Frank was a little flat. Did you feel that way when he would sing?
I couldn't stand him.
What about him could you not stand?
Well, I didn't know why he was considered a great singer.
Right.
And I'd hear people say, oh, the phrasing, the timing. What's that mean?
That's just being a musician, right? You have to have good
reading the notes. I mean, reading the music. But
right.
I heard this from a reliable source. I knew the guy that we have the Paramount Art Center downtown Aurora. Mm-hmm. And now they have Broadway shows that they bring in. They sell them out. That's how they stay in existence. But before that, they brought in people that were on the twilight of their careers. They brought in Willie Nelson. They brought in Frank Sinatra
to the theater?
1 year. Yeah, he was at the Paramount.
Okay.
And it was when the Hollywood Casino was first opening, and they sponsored him. I think Frank was in his 70s. And I knew the guy who tuned the pianos at the Paramount Art Center.
Okay.
That was his job. They called him in, and he tuned them. And he told me that Frank Sinatra, and I don't even understand this technology and what it was back then, but something that filtered his voice because he was flat or sharp so often that it leveled those things out before it hit the audience's ear.
I mean, with modern stuff, that would make sense. Modern technology, but this wouldn't have been modern. Is this 90s?
Yeah, 90s probably.
Yeah, I don't think... I mean, Auto-Tune would have been coming out around then, but I don't think they were using Auto-Tune live.
Well, he also told me that Frank was probably drunk
Oh,
when he went out for his performance. So that kind of just solidified in my head that I just don't care for this guy.
it's kind of disrespectful to just the music he's trying to perform in general, because you
Yeah.
have people who are actually trying to add something to the art form, but
And disrespectful to people who popped out a lot of money
right
to
to
sit
see
there and
him.
listen to this.
It confirms my theory that he's flat though. If they literally had to use this device to help him stay on pitch, he never sounded on pitch. And there's just a big ego,
Maybe.
There's a big ego.
Well, he was such a heartthrob, which I never understood either. And I was reading in some, I don't know where, but it was on the internet, so it had to be true, right?
Of course.
That Frank Sinatra was being considered for a number of roles in Hollywood films. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so glad they didn't choose him.
Oh.
Or he didn't choose the role. But for instance, To Kill a Mockingbird instead of Gregory Peck.
Him as Atticus Finch.
Can you imagine that?
And this is as the iconic
Yeah.
one from the 60s, right?
Right.
Yikes.
But
Dodged a bullet.
he was sought. He was sought after. He was a big draw.
It's just because they wouldn't even look at the acting skills. It's just if you put Frank Sinatra in a movie, you're going to see Frank Sinatra and be like, well, what's this about? Let's go see.
And I don't understand the sexual allure. Like he was a heartthrob for women. I don't understand that.
He always looked in his 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh well. Enough of Frank.
Well, you got a whole list here.
I got a lot of questions.
Fire away.
Well, let me ask you this. So we were talking about the Beatles a little bit, and I have a couple. Well, I have one CD in particular that's by a jazz pianist out of Chicago, Anthony Molinari. And I don't think he ever got really big. He just played in clubs. But he put out a CD, Here, There, and Everywhere, and it's his interpretations of 12 Beatles songs.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
And they're like jazzified.
Well, that leads me to this question. I can't put my finger on the genre. I mean, he is a jazz pianist, but it's more than jazz.
In my opinion, I think that's because of the way the Beatles wrote their songs. Because they weren't, as you know, they weren't just rock and roll, or they didn't really just stick to one genre. And I think because the writing melodically and like lyrically was so far ahead in like another world, that the songs still transcend the test of time, and like you can reimagine them in those ways and be like, what even is this now? It's
Yeah.
funny you say that, because when I was little and in preschool, this is probably where my love for the Beatles started. We'd have nap time, and they would put on this CD that my family would affectionately call "Sleeping with the Beatles," and it was like the Beatles but like lullaby, like chill piano, kind of like a lo-fi thing. And so I realized, you talk about the song Here, There, and Everywhere, it's one of my favorite Beatles songs. I realized that was on that CD that played. And so I never liked nap time. I would always feel anxious because I never liked to sleep. And I'm realizing that song playing is probably what grew my love for that specific song. Because like those songs on the CDs I would love more.
You were what, like 3 or 4 years old?
Yeah, 3 or 4, and I would hear that. And it would calm me down because I can still remember the chord progressions, like the bridge of Here, There, and Everywhere. Like I Want Her Everywhere. Like I remember hearing that kind of lullaby version on the CD. I was like, okay, it calmed my nervous system down. But isn't that I'll ask you this: isn't that just the human experience with music in general? Because I've had people with similar music tastes, and we'll talk about an album in any genre, and they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't like this," and I can't figure out why they don't like it. And come to find out, they were going through a really hard time, or it was a really stressful point in their life. And so I think how much of our bias with music is what you're going through. Because I've heard some albums I know objectively are great, and I'm like, it just was not a good season of life for me. So like, so much has to go right, I think, for you to enjoy a piece of work like that.
I agree. And I can see the carryover into literature. Because sometimes I will, somebody will recommend a novel to me.
Yeah.
So I'll start reading it, and I'll get 50 pages into it, and I'll be so disgusted with it.
Yeah.
And I'll think, how could anybody promote this? How did Roger tell me this was good?
Right.
And really what it is I'm going through a crappy time.
Right. You got your own stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not processing what the author's trying to do at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the same would be true for all the arts.
I think you're right. I think in addition to that, I don't think we've talked about this, but I think in this age of social media and and people releasing music, I think people are very quick to judge and give their thoughts on it too. Because I don't know if you see this as much on social media, probably not as much on YouTube, but an album will come out and there's published reviews 2 hours after it comes out of here's what we give out of 5 stars, and it's like, I think part of that is just the downfall of streaming music, as we've talked about. You know, when you had physical media, like music was a moment. You had to sit down and give it your full attention. Now people are, you know, it's more accessible than ever. You can play it while you're walking. You can play it through your phone, with your AirPods, whatever. But I think part of where we've kind of set ourselves more backwards is no one takes the time to just sit. Like casual listeners don't just sit with an album and put all their attention. That's not stimulating enough. And it's the same thing with anything. I think food used to be kind of a moment too. You would all go out to eat, and now you can just order in. Movies, you would go to. It was an experience.
It was an investment.
It was an investment.
Not
You're
only
right.
in money, but in time.
Time and money. Yeah.
And that's gone now.
Right. And I think while on the surface it's like, well, it's better to have it more accessible. I think you lose the artistic nature of it. Like taking music as the example, people aren't sitting with music for as long, and they're quick to give their thoughts and say, this is trash, this is trash.
You know, that's part of my problem in being ready with some questions for Darling.
Yeah.
Because I have to sit
Yeah.
and I got to listen to the whole thing. I can't have any disturbances.
And you listen twice through.
I listened
too,
twice,
yeah.
but they were both interrupted.
Right.
And I don't like that.
I'm sure you have some thoughts, some things to
Well, I
ask. Yeah.
shared it already. I love it when you're more melodic.
Yeah.
And I love your natural voice rather than, I don't know what it's not really falsetto, but it's a higher range, it's a higher pitch than what your voice sounds like.
Oh, you like the more middle ground.
Or even, you had one in there where you got kind of low,
Yeah.
and I like that.
Yeah, I think that album showcases kind of all three. I see it as like 3 levels, like falsetto, kind of my speaking voice is now, and then like low.
You know what I'm worried about though, Luke, is when I listen to it, I think, this is a 76-year-old guy listening to it, and what I like is not going to be what other people like.
I think that's what's interesting, because I don't think your favorite songs from it will be anybody my age's who is my age. That won't be their favorites.
I'm sure. Sure, you're right.
Like I think much more of the, because that album is more eclectic, and I kind of call it the definitive album of my work in a lot of ways, because I was going to keep it more of one sound, like an indie alternative pop sound, but then I was like, I kind of wanted to go in more electronic directions, and just kind of brief. I kind of view it as like the album is one road, and there's a little like sidewalk going off this way just for a little bit with some of the more electronic songs like Can I See You Tonight or Missing You, like the one where I get really low. Oh, just a little variation for a second, then back on the main path. But I think that's because I can't force myself to just make something in one style. As you know, I love too many types of music, and I've had people tell me, you're gonna blow up as an artist when you find your sound. And that is the complete opposite of my goal as an artist.
Yeah.
It would make me frustrated, like I'm not really seen in that they're not seeing me what I'm trying to do artistically, of like, that's not my goal as an artist, to just keep doing the same thing over and over.
Well, speaking of you going down one path and then trying to get back on the other path, I was thinking about, basketball and music.
Yeah.
The pros and cons for my grandson,
Yeah.
basketball and music. And I thought, I hate to say it, but basketball might be too limiting for your head.
What do you mean?
Well, there's only so much creativity that you can put into basketball. It has a lid on it. It has a limit. Based on rules, based on the fact that it's not a solo game. You're playing with a team, and you're limited by all those things.
And what you do with it day in and day out.
Yeah,
It's not
the
changing.
repetition.
Yeah.
Well, it gets boring. It gets tedious. And music doesn't have that lid.
It's endless. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
whatever you want it to be.
So I see it. Doesn't that appeal more to your brain?
I think so, yeah. I think it's interesting you say that. I think for basketball, I think for basketball, it was
You should really say the game of basketball.
For the game of
The
basketball,
game of basketball.
like Jordan, what he would always say, the game of basketball. I think for the game of basketball, I mean, that was the only sport I played growing up, which I think did me a disservice in some ways. Like it helped me in a lot of ways because I was ultra focused on it. As you know, I was very obsessed with it. But I mean, doing that for, what, 11, 12 years straight, I think there became a point where I was like, am I just burnt out? Do I just need a break? You know, and stuff like that. And kind of like what you're saying with music, there is no, every day can be different with that.
Did you ever have a desire to go into a different sport?
Other than basketball?
Yeah.
No, never like a serious one. I'd have, you know, a thought of like, what if I played, as anybody does, but it was never really another thought. Because as you know, growing up, that's what I was focused on. That's what I did day in and day out. And kind of like you were saying, I think I got to a point where it's just, I had done it for so long and so much of my life that I was just like, it doesn't bring me the same joy. You know, like I would play pickup games and be like, yeah, I got in my fix. And it alternates. There's some days I wake up and it's like, I really miss playing. I want to go play collegiately. And then there's other days where I go play a pickup game and I'm like, I get my fix in and I'm like,
Do you think your
good.
first year junior college ruined it? If you had had a more developed program that you were part of, do you think you might have kept playing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously just the program wasn't the right fit or what I was looking for. I think it taught me a lot, and there was a lot of elements I enjoyed, obviously, but it obviously just wasn't the right fit. But I think these past months have been good for me. Kind of, we've talked about in the past couple months too, of just letting me reflect of like, in a lot of ways I was considering going back to play just because that's what's expected from everyone, of like, that's what I've been, is a basketball player. It's just a side note. It's even funny in the way other people view it too, because like on my Instagram, when I would make a post about basketball, I'd get like 500 likes or whatever, and then I make a post about my music and it's like 8. And it's so for me it was almost like everybody else seems to prefer when I do basketball, and maybe I'm better at that. And I mean, what you're better at is all subjective, obviously, based on what someone thinks. But yeah, I think for me too is coming to the conclusion that if I never played on an actual team again, it's not like basketball's not in my life anymore. I can always play, you know, for fun, and like I said, I still don't know. I still might end up playing.
Does any basketball memories ever enter into your music? Like, could it trigger a musical idea?
Nothing specifically with like the game, more so like emotions and things with it. Because I mean, obviously basketball taught me a lot just through playing about the sport and how to get better at it. But it taught me so much, as you know, off the court, of just interpersonally and resilience and all the cliche things. But then just other things you wouldn't expect, like just communication and getting along with different types of people and working through that.
Like, let's say you playing against an opponent that sticks out in your mind,
Yeah.
whether he was a good player, obnoxious, or whatever he was. But could you ever see that being the triggering point to writing some type of song about a character like that? Where the focus would be more on the lyrics initially?
I could see myself doing that. I don't think I ever did that. I think the closest I got was, I'm trying to remember. I think there's been songs I've written in the past that were inspired by working with difficult people, of like frustration, and not necessarily that has anything to do with basketball, but just the people I would come into contact with. But I think it also gave me a new perspective too, just in the real world of like, whether it's like teamwork or just making, like, whether it's like going and trying to win state, like all uniting for like a common goal, like how are we gonna get this to work? And so I think that applies to music in a sense of like, how are we gonna get to this finished product, if that makes sense. So if it's like all the practices, like the year we win state, all the practices of preparing, of trying to get better and grow, comparing that to like writing a song of like, how do I get this song to where I see it in my head.
Have you ever done a song with another person, as like a team, even more than one person? Have you ever done a collaborative?
Yeah, I've collaborated with a few people. The person I collaborated with the most was Morgan. Actually, I think I showed you some of those, and that was, you know, obviously she's my girlfriend, but I would just be like, hey, your voice would sound great on this, and so
Is that harder or easier than working solo?
Working with people, it's different. It's different because working alone, I can go fast, and that's how my brain works. If it's quick, 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 and it can also be more frustrating if you get into a creative drought. If I'm working on a part of a song, I'm kind of stuck. With other people, they can kind of pick you up and be like, well, what if we took it this way? I think this sounds better, and it's another set of ears too, which is very important because when you spend hours making a song, I've had songs I've made, I'm like, this is the best song I've made, and then I go back and listen hours later, I'm like, this is terrible. And then this is the case with my best songs. I'll make a song, I'm like, this isn't good because I spent so long on it, and then I gave it some time and come back to it. I'm like, no, this is really good. And what's interesting about that too is I would have people ask me, like people on basketball teams and just friends in general, they were like, do you listen back to your own music? And like in the early days of my music making, I was embarrassed to ever admit if I did because that seemed like arrogant or conceited. But I also didn't. And I just think that just shows that the quality of my music has, I think, improved because I was like, no, I don't really care to. But now it's gotten to the point where like I'm making the music I want to listen to. And so I get to, like, if I'm just going on a drive, I'm like, well, I want to hear that, what I just made, because I just genuinely enjoy it, which I think should be the way all artists create, but some people don't do it that way. I mean, I've heard lots of artists who just make stuff to pay the bills.
Yeah. Would you ever consider taking a course that that you would think would help your musical goals, whether it's songwriting or something to do with, I know you don't care for music theory, but
Shout out my music theory class. That was a hard class, but it's...
But even like a writing course that could carry over into music.
Yeah.
Like a poetry course.
Totally thought about that. And I in high school, I took a creative writing class. I don't think I ever told you this. And
No.
It's funny, because I was pretty much... you could kind of take that class whichever way you would want to take it. And I think that impacted my writing in a lot of ways. I think that opened up my brain that you view songs, I think non-songwriters view songs as so linear, but when you actually start writing them, there's really no rules. I think that was really eye-opening, especially with creative writing. We didn't have to rhyme every time. And I realized that with songs, I'm like, this doesn't have to rhyme. I can switch perspectives. I don't have to just talk in first person. I can go third person. There can be a different amount of syllables. And so
What kind of stuff did you have to write in that class?
there'd be different prompts of like, I can't remember, this was a couple years ago, of like write something fictional, like start a short story or write about a time where you felt XYZ.
Did you ever have to write poetry?
Yeah, we did a poetry unit too. And I think early on when I would make songs, it would be just to make songs, just to say I did it. And I think it got to a point, I would say around end of last year and like this year, where the songs I was writing became kind of therapeutic. I know that's what every artist says, but it got to a point where it was like, it was personal, because I was trying to write so much of like, I'm just going to write a hit. And then I realized when you don't try to write a hit and you write something that's important to you, it'll reach somebody else. Someone else who's going through that. And that happened with the song. I don't know if I played you my song Scars. That one came out early this year, and that was like my first real like singing like ballad song. And so I was kind of nervous to put it out, but I was confident in it and was being real about with where I was at. And I had lots of people reach out to me. It was shocking, of just like, this song means so much to me. I've memorized every word. I sing it in the shower, on the way to school. Like, this feels like exactly where I'm at. And so I think I kind of rewired my songwriting brain again of like, okay, stop trying to write from something you didn't necessarily feel as much, because people can tell when something's fake. I think is another
What do you
thing
mean
I
by
realized.
fake?
When something's not genuine. If you try to write...
You haven't lived it? Is that what it means?
Yeah, like this isn't actually what you're talking about, but when it's like there's actually like emotion, like my whole last project I played you, Please Move Slower, all this sort of stuff, that was all very much real. And so that one had mostly generally positive reviews. And I think a big reason was because it was real life for me. That was the time of my life where it was a harder season of uncertainties and things like that. So I think a lot of times artists don't give audience enough credit of being able to tell what's genuine and what's not, because we can read each other well.
Could you read a book by a poet, like say 100 100 poems by a writer. Could you read that?
And they're all like poetry.
Yeah.
It'd be hard. It
Why?
really depends on the type
Why
of
would
poetry.
it be hard?
I think a lot of poetry I've come into contact with is very out there.
What do you mean out there?
Like if you were to write a poem, I feel like it'd be hard. It would be, I know you and your sense of humor and stuff, but for people who like wrote like you that I don't know as well, I wouldn't know what they're pulling. Are you being silly here? Are you? And I know when you're sending me something, it's almost always silly. So, but if I can't tell, like especially it's hard in writing. Like, is this sarcastic? Is this? So I guess if I knew the writer well enough, like if it was a like, which you need to do this by the way, you need to make a poetry book.
How many readings would you give a poem? Let's say a poem of, let's say a poem of 250 words, which we're talking about. It's nothing lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
How many readings would you give it before you would say, this is kind of good, or I've had enough of this? How many times would you read it?
It depends. I think I can use the example of analyzing a song's lyrics, because that's poetry, and I've done that before, of like, go through lyrics, and there's been times, some songs you can read the lyrics fully through and be like, I get what this song is saying, and there's been times where I've said that, and then come back years later and be like, I completely misinterpreted this. And there's been some where I didn't appreciate the song as much.
Do you like being outside of knowing what the writer's talking about at first? Do you find that interesting? That I wonder what I wonder what she or he really means, and you keep reading and keep digging at it until it starts speaking to you. Do you have enough patience to do that?
It's funny you say that, because it bothers me as a fan. Like, for my artists I love, I'm like, what are they trying to say? I'm very literal and I'm black and white. I'm like, I want to know what they thought, what they meant, but when they'll leave it like open-ended, it kills me, because I'm like, I just want an answer. But for me, like on this Darling album, I was intentionally writing like that a lot, because that was really interesting to me. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do something that was interesting to me lyrically of, I had people ask me of like, well, what does this song mean this? And I used to love explaining everything thoroughly, but I've kind of gotten to the point, I understand why artists do this. Like Paul Simon is someone who does like, I don't want to explain the song. That ruins, I think, the magic of it, because people interpret things so much in so many different ways. And so there's a lot of songs on this new album where I was writing that it could mean 3 or 4 different things. And it's funny, I'll add on to that by saying there were songs I wrote for this album that I almost questioned myself. I got like imposter syndrome. I felt fake, and I was like, what did that even mean? I was like, I don't even know why I said that. And then I would listen to it over and over, and a couple weeks would pass, and I'm like, that's what I was processing this. It was this thing that happened, this insecurity, and I was like, it really was therapy in that sense of, my subconscious was lit. That happens a lot. Your subconscious literally pours something out into the song lyrically.
Is it necessary for you to always figure out what you meant or where you got it from? Because I can remember interview with Paul Simon saying that he doesn't know where he got Me and Julio, whatever the title of that was.
Down by the schoolyard.
Yeah, he said, I don't know where that came from, and I don't know anybody named Julio.
Is it necessary? No. Not at all. I think sometimes as an artist, depending on the song, it can bug me. I think if there's songs that have like darker or more serious themes, just because I'm in touch with my emotions and my thoughts, I think I'll ask myself, I'll say, self, what was that about? But I think that's part of the beauty of being able to create songs, is that you don't even know necessarily.
What would be your reaction if somebody contacted you online, however they contact you, and they said, we're interested in your song, but not as a song. Have you ever considered publishing it as a piece of poetry? What would be your reaction to that?
I would love to.
If they divorce it from the music.
I mean, I think that would... I've never, like you said, I've always been more melody-based before lyrics. Like, that's why I can't stand Bob Dylan, as you know, because he's lyrics first and melody is an afterthought with him. I think I'd be honored that someone views it as, like, poetry. So I think I, of course, would, because I'm just a fan of artistic stuff in general. I think there would be a part of me that was like, what, do you hear the melody with it? Because to me, that's equally as interesting and engaging. But of course, I think I would, yeah.
Were you aware that I think there's 3 Paul Simon songs that have been published in the New Yorker magazine as poetry?
I didn't know that, yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. It's kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
When I thought, oh, it's a different Paul Simon.
Right.
But it was him.
Yeah. But his lyrics are very poetic, so it makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he is.
Well, he
a
was
poet
a
first.
English literature major.
Right, right, and that's what's impressive about him is he can combine like literature type lyrics with very good melodies. Unlike "Love Me Do" by the Beatles, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, okay. Can we take a little break?
Yep.
I need some whiskey.
Sounds good.
I need a drink.